Seventh grade, we are going to do a quick review of some of the concepts that you had a little bit of trouble on with the pretest. So this is just a quick review to kind of get us ready to start the year off on a high note. So we're going to first start with our low and high estimates. So we had a problem that said 238 times 87, and it said to find the low estimate and to find the high estimate of the total value. So, in order to find the low estimate, you round both values down by the leading digit. Now, the leading digit in 238 is 2, and the leading digit in 87 is 8. So, if I were to round down, 238 rounds to 200, 87 rounds to 80, and then 200 times 80 is 16,000. So that would be your low estimate. Your high estimate, then, would be rounding it up. So your 238 goes to 300, 87 goes to 90, and then you multiply those and you get 27,000. So again, you just take your leading digit and you round the numbers up and down. So 238 goes to 200 for rounding down, and then 300 to round up. And 87 goes to 80 to round down, and 90 to round up. So you do the exact same rules with division. So we had the problem of 4,915 divided by 86. So our low estimate would be taking our leading digit 4, and so we have 4,000 divided by 80, which equals 50. And then the other way would be 5,000 divided by 90, which is 55 and 5 repeating, so it could be about 56 would be your high estimate. So that was one concept that we need to work on. Another one was ordering of decimal numbers from least to greatest. So first off, the most important thing is to make sure you're doing what it's asking for. Make sure you're going from least to greatest and not greatest to least. So one important part in math at all times is to make sure you're reading the directions carefully and doing what they are asking you to do. So least to greatest. So first, here's our numbers. 4 and 3 tenths, 3 and 4 tenths, 4 and 5 tenths, and 3 and 45 hundredths. So first, you want to rewrite the numbers having the same amount of digits. So remember, you can always add a 0 at the end of a number if there's already a decimal and it does not change the value of that number. So you can see here, I rewrote the numbers using the same amount of digits. So it goes to the hundredths place. Then I arrange the numbers vertically because it's easier to compare. So if you look here and I write it vertically, then you can look and you can see that you have 4s and 3s. So I pull out both of my 3s and I rearrange them at 3 and 40 hundredths and 3 and 45 hundredths. Now you just compare your decimal places. So you can see here 40 is smaller than 45, so 3 and 4 tenths is less than 3 and 45 hundredths. And you would do the same thing with your next digits of 4. So you have 4 and 30 hundredths and 4 and 50 hundredths. You could also just compare the tenths, but we put them all in the same digit. So we can see here 30 is smaller than 50, so 4 and 3 tenths is less than 4 and 5 tenths. And then you rewrite your answer going from least to greatest, and you write your answer in the original form. So you have 3 and 4 tenths, 3 and 45 hundredths, 4 and 3 tenths, and 4 and 5 tenths. So here's another example from least to greatest. And you can see here, I rearranged them, and I did 2 steps. I rearranged them vertically and added all my zeros. So it's easy to look at. Well, this was a little trickier because they all start with 0, and then they all have a 7 in the tenths place. So then you have to go to the next place, which would be the hundredths place. And you can see you have a 1, a 5, a 0, and a 1. So you can arrange it this way, or you can look at the entire number, whichever is easiest for you. So we can see here that if you look at the entire number, you have 700, or if you're looking in your tens place, that your 0 is first, so you know that's your smallest number. Then you can look again, and you can look at your 1s, and then you have to go to the next digit. Or you can say, you can look at 710, 750, 700, and 715 and arrange them in order that way. And you'll find your final answer is this order: 7 tenths, 71 hundredths, 715 thousandths, and 75 hundredths. And that is your order from least to greatest. Next was dividing with decimal numbers. So we had some problems with this, but we'll fix them. So here you have 1 and 5 tenths divided by 3 tenths. And so first you should write it out as a division problem that's easier to see in this format. And what we cannot divide, the divisor has always got to be a whole number. So you need to make the divisor a whole number, and this works. What you do to one side, you do to the other side. So I need to make 3/10 a whole number. So I multiply by powers of 10. And when I multiply by powers of 10, all it does is make me move my decimal to the right one place for each 10. So here I have 3/10, and I need to make this a whole number, so I would multiply each side by 10. When I multiply each side by 10, it moves my decimal over one place. And then, once I bring my decimal over one place, I bring it straight up into the quotient so I don't forget to put my decimal number in. So my trick to remember this is over, over, up. You move over from the divisor, then you go over from the dividend and up to the quotient. So over, over, up is your trick there. And you can see here, when I did over, over, up, I moved over, over, up, and then I divide. 15 divided by 3 is 5. So that can be confusing, but if you think about it, what they're asking is how many times does 3/10 go into 1.5? And if I were to count by 3/10, I have 3/10, 6/10, 9/10, 1 and 2/10, and 1 and 5/10. And if I count those up, if I count by 3/10, I have to count by 5 times in order to get to 1.5 or 1 and 5/10. So that's how it becomes a whole number. So let's look at a harder one. So we have 61 and 95/100 divided by 3 and 5/10. So I set it up. I have to multiply by 10 or move my decimal to the right one on my divisor, then once over on my dividend, and then I go straight up on my decimal so I don't lose it. And then I divide like normal. 35 goes into 61 one time, subtract 35, you get 26, bring down your 9. 35 goes into 269 7 times, 7 times 35 is 245, subtract, you get 24, bring down your 5, and again, 35 goes into 245 7 times with 0 remainder. So your answer is 17 and 7/10. So that's a quick review on dividing with decimals. And then the last concept we're going to talk about is finding the volume. So if we have a cube, and a cube has the same length, width, and height, so in this case we're doing 4, and we're going to call them each a centimeter. But to find the volume, it means how much does this cube contain? How much can it hold if I were to fill it with a substance? And in order to find that, we have to multiply our length times our width times our height, so that we can get the volume of the entire part. So if we said this was 4 centimeters each side, you would multiply 4 times 4 times 4. And you get 4 centimeters times 4 centimeters times 4 centimeters equals 64 centimeters cubed. And make sure you cube that, because cube is our units for volume, because you're always multiplying by 3. So tomorrow we will do more of these types of problems in class, and we will also go over a few other minor details that I think will be easy to clear up. Have a good evening.